Welcome again to Great Lakes Sasquatch. Please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more encounters from the Great Lakes. Our SquatchTale today is called Motorist Almost Runs into a Bigfoot. This one comes from one of my favorite places, Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I live in southeast Lower Michigan, but have fallen in love with Michigan's Upper Peninsula. It is stunning. Michigan's Upper Peninsula is affectionately called the UP. If you don't know this, people who live in the Lower Peninsula, the Mitten, call people who live in the UP Upers. They sometimes call us trolls because we live below the Mackinac Bridge. It's a good time. Okay, now that you have a little background, on to this exciting encounter story. I saw what I feel was Bigfoot in 1979. I was traveling home from Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, in early June of 1979 with my wife and 2 daughters on leave. We were headed for upstate New York. It was approximately 2 in the morning and extremely dark. I was driving east on Highway 2 in northern Michigan, driving through the Hiawatha National Forest. This was in Mackinac County near Manistee, I believe. I looked down the road, about 3/4 of a mile down, and there was something in the road. I couldn't tell what it was. All that I could see was the reflection of the eyes, a red reflection. I thought nothing of it, thought it was an animal, and kept going. I was running at about 80 miles per hour. As I approached what I thought was an animal, it didn't move. As I got closer, I figured out that it wasn't going to move. I had to slam on the brakes. Naturally, this created a great deal of blue smoke, and I could still see the red eyes. They didn't move. I still could not make out what was in the road. After the car came to a stop, I looked up after the smoke cleared, and there it was. This thing was approximately 11 feet tall, fairly slender, and his hands reached down to his knees. I sat there looking at this thing, and he stood there unruffled, looking back at me. We stared at each other for approximately a minute and a half. After that, he turned to his left. His head turned, and then his entire body turned to his left. He took 2 steps to the edge of the road and looked back at me. He was covered in fur from his head to his feet. It was as though his head turned almost all the way around to look back at me. Then he stepped down into the field on the side of the road. It was about 50 feet to the forest. He went up to the edge of the forest, stopped once again, did that funny turning of his head to look back at me one more time, took one big kind of a sidestep into the forest, and he was gone. He was about 11 feet tall, covered in dark red short fur with red-type highlights. It was clean fur and somewhat neat and orderly. His eyes were very unnerving. He made no sounds. Oh yeah, it did smell kind of odd that night, like rotten eggs. The follow-up investigation for this sighting was conducted by BFRO investigator Caroline Curtis. Caroline worked as an assistant to a circuit court judge in Florida for 13 years. She is an avid outdoorswoman, growing up in the UP of Michigan on a family-owned fishing and hunting resort. She currently lives in the Hiawatha National Forest. She's also a Level 1 certified visual tracker and has attended and assisted with numerous public and private BFRO expeditions. She and the Florida BFRO organized South Florida Expedition 2008, the North Florida Expedition 2008, and the Central Florida Expedition in 2009. She and the Michigan BFRO also organized the Lower Michigan Expedition in 2011 and the Michigan UP Expeditions in 2012, 2013, and 2015. Here's what she had to say about this encounter. I spoke to this witness and felt he was very sincere about his report. He remembers the encounter vividly. He was traveling east on US 2 and was somewhere between Manistee and St. Ignace, not too far from I-75, when this incident occurred. When I asked him about the traffic, he said, "I was it. There were no buildings or houses nearby." He was traveling at roughly 80 miles per hour when he noticed something in the road with its eyes reflecting red. He did not slow down at first because animals on the road late at night will normally move off the road as a vehicle approaches, but not this particular animal. Only when it appeared that he would collide with this animal did he slam on his brakes. The vehicle he was driving was a yellow 75 Chevy Nova with a hatchback. The type of vehicle is relevant to the incident because it helped the witness estimate the creature's very tall height. Once this vehicle stopped, he was amazed that he had not hit the creature. This animal towered above the vehicle, only a short distance from the vehicle. Hair on the face kept him from seeing normal facial details, except for its beady eyes. When I asked if he saw any skin or additional details, he explained that everything was covered with hair and that additional details could not be seen. To the left was a forest of pine trees. To the right was grass for about a football field's length, ending in pine trees. The creature headed south toward the trees on the Lake Michigan side very quickly and crossed the field of grass in no time. By the time he had the spotlight out, the creature was looking back, just before entering the woods and disappearing. He insists that this creature was 10 to 11 feet tall. This reported height is not uncommon. When witnesses become terrified during close-range encounters with these animals, the terror is usually not driven by the behavior of Sasquatches, nor by their hair-covered appearance, but rather by their overwhelming size, which is most fully appreciated at close range. The BFRO has received many credible reports over the years describing close-range encounters with Sasquatches that were approximately 10 feet tall, and some that were over 10 feet tall. Red, especially when used to describe hair color, means different things to different people. When I asked him to compare the color to a different animal, he stated that he has seen red-haired women with a similar color, closer to red than orange. He said the creature was on the skinny side, but still healthy looking. He mentioned the hair seemed clean and neat. He described the hair as fur rather than hair. He mentioned that it was very tall, skinny, and lanky, comparing its body to that of a skinny basketball player. This witness has seen bears and is very adamant that this was not a bear, stating to me it had no snout. His impression was that it was a mature male Sasquatch, but again, no additional gender-related detail was noticed due to the hair. The creature turned to look at him a total of 3 times. Each time it turned its head to look at the witness, it did not turn its body, but rather only turned its neck and head. I questioned him about this and asked him to clarify, because many witnesses describe these animals as turning their whole upper body to look over the shoulder. The upper body turn is visible in the Patterson footage and may be a characteristic of smaller, stockier females rather than taller males. This witness was positive that he saw independent neck and head movement as it looked back at him. The witness was able to gather himself enough to get his spotlight out, plug it into the cigarette lighter, and aim. It worked very well, and he lit up the creature, getting one more good look just before it looked his way and stepped into the trees. I asked him why he stuck around. He told me that because the creature was leaving the scene, he was able to calm down a bit. Wanting to get a better look from a safe distance, he got out the spotlight. He was also hoping his wife would wake up and see it. Once the wife did wake up, and he described the creature to her, she insisted they leave immediately. I asked him what was going through his mind at the time. Having heard stories of Bigfoot and being a non-believer before, he said he was trying to figure out how a large creature looking like this could get away with living and thriving in our woods for so long without anyone ever knowing about it. Thanks for joining us today for Squatch Tales on Great Lakes Sasquatch. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know what you think in the comments. Links to our social media accounts are in the description box below. If you have an encounter from the Great Lakes region that you would like to share, please email me, greatlakessasquatch@gmail.com. If you love Sasquatch stories, please support some of my favorite Bigfoot channels and Squatchy friends. Hiker Dave, N.E. Bigfoot, Dixie Cryptid, PacWest Bigfoot, Blue Ridge Bigfoot, Bigfoot Case Files, and Bigfoot and Beyond. I'll put links to these channels in the description box below. Have a great day, thanks for watching, and happy squatching!